On the night of May 7, 2025, India did something it had never done before. It launched precision missile and air strikes deep inside Pakistan. Not across the border. Inside Pakistan. Targeting 9 terrorist camps that had been planning attacks on Indian soil for years. Within 88 hours, India had demonstrated air superiority, destroyed Pakistan's air defenses and forced Pakistan's navy to stay close to its own coast. Pakistan asked for a ceasefire. India had won the most consequential military engagement between the two nuclear powers in decades. This is the full story of Operation Sindoor. What happened, how it happened, and what it means for India's future. To understand Operation Sindoor, you have to go back to April 22, 2025. A group of tourists were visiting Pahalgam in Kashmir, one of the most scenic valley locations in India. Armed terrorists emerged and opened fire. 26 civilians were killed. Most of them tourists. Many of them killed in front of their families. India immediately accused Pakistan-based terrorist groups, specifically Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, of planning and executing the attack. Pakistan denied any involvement. But India's intelligence agencies had been tracking these groups for years. The camps, the training grounds, the command structures. They knew exactly where the planners were. Prime Minister Modi and India's national security establishment had a decision to make. India had responded to previous terrorist attacks with surgical strikes in 2016 and 2019. Those responses were limited, targeted, careful. This time, the decision was different. This time, India would not just respond to the attack. India would destroy the infrastructure behind it. Permanently. At 1:05 a.m. on May 7, 2025, Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindoor. 9 terrorist infrastructure sites across Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir were targeted simultaneously. The strikes included the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba in Murad and Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bahawalpur. These were not small camps hidden in mountains. These were established, well-funded training facilities operating openly inside Pakistan for decades. India used a combination of air-launched missiles, long-range artillery, and precision loitering munitions. The loitering munitions, specifically Israeli-designed Harop and Harpy drones, were particularly devastating. These are not traditional drones. A loitering munition circles a target area for hours, identifies a specific radar or air defense system, and then dives directly into it at high speed. On May 8 alone, 8 Pakistani air defense sites were struck. 4 more were destroyed the following day. Pakistan's air surveillance network, the system that tells them where Indian jets are, was systematically blinded. Over 100 terrorists were killed in the initial strikes. Pakistan's military was caught completely off guard. Pakistan retaliated on the night of May 8. The Pakistani Air Force sent F-16 and JF-17 fighters toward Indian territory. What followed was the most intense aerial engagement between India and Pakistan in 50 years. India's air defense systems, including the S-400 and indigenous Akash missiles, intercepted Pakistani aircraft. The Indian Air Force claimed 5 Pakistani jets were shot down between May 7 and 10. India also claimed to have struck at least one of Pakistan's HQ-9 Chinese-supplied air defense batteries. Switzerland's Center for Military History published a detailed analysis of the air campaign. Their conclusion: India retained escalation dominance throughout the 4-day conflict. What does that mean? It means at every stage, India had the ability to strike harder, go further and cause greater damage than Pakistan could respond to. India chose restraint. Not because it had to. Because it could afford to. Pakistan's remaining radar systems began switching off their emissions, not because they were destroyed, but because turning them on was inviting an Indian strike. Pakistan's air defense network was functionally blinded. India could have sent anything over Pakistan at that point. Pakistan knew it. The part of Operation Sindoor that received the least attention is the naval operation. And it may have been the most decisive factor in Pakistan's decision to request a ceasefire. India mobilized more than 30 ships and submarines within days of the operation beginning. India's aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, with its full carrier battle group, was positioned off the Makran coast. The Makran coast is Pakistan's western seaboard. Its port city of Gwadar, the same Gwadar that China is developing under CPEC, sits on this coast. India's frontline ships were in combat-ready position off Pakistan's coast. Pakistan's navy, which normally patrols the Arabian Sea, retreated to stay close to its own shoreline. Vice Admiral K. Swaminathan, who commanded the Western Naval Command, later stated publicly, "The threat of offensive action by the Indian Navy could be considered one of the important factors in Pakistan requesting for a ceasefire." Pakistan was facing simultaneous military pressure from three directions. Its air defense destroyed. Its air force outmatched. Its navy trapped near its own coast. The ceasefire request came on May 10th. In the year since Operation Sindoor, several things have become clear. First, India demonstrated a military capability that surprised even its own allies. The precision, the speed, and the simultaneous coordination across air, land, and sea was unexpected. Second, India's zero-tolerance message landed. The Modi government made clear that any future terrorist attack traced to Pakistan would result in an immediate and proportionate military response. Not just inside Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Inside Pakistan. Third, the geopolitical reaction was complicated. The United States, which has been warming relations with Pakistan, pressured India into the ceasefire. Trump publicly credited himself for stopping the conflict, a claim India firmly rejected. India's insistence that the ceasefire was bilateral rather than American-mediated created diplomatic friction with Washington. Pakistan, meanwhile, positioned itself internationally as a peacemaker and stabilizing force, receiving diplomatic dividends from the conflict it arguably started. Fourth, China's reaction was telling. Beijing condemned India's strikes and quietly supported Pakistan. Just 2 weeks ago, Xi Jinping met with Pakistan's Prime Minister and released a joint statement focused on security cooperation. China and Pakistan are moving closer. India's two largest security threats are now coordinating more openly than ever before. Operation Sindoor was India's most consequential military action since 1971. It proved that India's military is now capable of decisive, multi-domain action at short notice. It proved that India's new doctrine, act fast, act hard, don't wait for the next attack, is real. But it also showed something more important. India now faces a combined China-Pakistan security challenge unlike anything it has faced before. China is building ports around India. Roads through Pakistan. Satellites watching the Indian Ocean. Pakistan is rebuilding its military with Chinese equipment after the losses of Operation Sindoor. India responded to 2025 with military power. The challenge of the next decade will require economic power, technological power, and diplomatic power as well. India has never been better positioned to meet that challenge. But the next chapter is not written yet. This is PowerDecodedX. We decode global power in under 30 seconds, and sometimes a little longer. Like and subscribe if you want the full picture.